special edition of the NFC Roundtable, aptly titled, Who Will Be King? I say that because happy birthday to the king himself, Martin Luther King Jr. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, guys, but leading up this episode, I had a dream.
Oh, wow.
I had a dream that the Packers started their playoff game off with a turnover before the offense even took the field.
Wow.
Woke up and that wasn't a dream. It was reality. Best type of day you could possibly have on a Sunday.
Wow.
Foster, I don't think I'm putting anybody out when I say this, the star of the Bleachers and Speakers and the one on this panel who hates the Packers the most. I'm going to ask you first. What was your thoughts of that wild card matchup between the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers?
You talking about me? I hate the Packers the most?
Yes, you, Foster, you.
I mean, I made my statement going into this that I would prefer they win regardless of whatever, how bad that sounds. And I never at any point, like you said, they fumbled on the kickoff. He got destroyed.
Like level.
But it just never felt like they were in that game. I just feel like they were it was just an uphill battle from the very beginning, to be honest.
Darn the bad luck for them.
I certainly don't have high hopes for them, but they were definitely would have been an easier opponent moving forward if we had to face them at some point.
Ah, I see. You wanted ease of win versus the challenge that's coming up this weekend.
It's far from, it's been far from easy thus far. So yeah, well, why not?
I thought it was hilarious. That's anytime Green Bay gets stomped like that, it warms my heart, and it warmed my heart, early this weekend. So it was great. And to see Jordan Love, their professional quarterback, absolutely stink it up, it was wonderful.
We haven't quoted that in some time.
Yeah, it's been a while since we had to say that one. So for those that didn't watch the game for some odd reason, the Philadelphia Eagles didn't even need the well-read A.J. Brown, their number one receiver. They didn't need him at all this game as they demolished the Packers 22-10. Started the game off like we said with a turnover. So the Eagles had the ball first to begin the game and to begin the second half. Dave, I like where you was going with that. That professional quarterback for the Packers, Mr. Jordan Love. Is this game reflective of the type of quarterback he is, or is this just one of those bogus showings?
Well, Packers fans will tell you it's just one of those one-offs, and that everybody got injured and they didn't have their starters and wah, 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 wah. I think it's shows who he is. He has good games and he has bad games. And this was a bad game. And I don't think he's the be-all, end-all that Packers fans think he is. I think Favre and Rodgers were better. And, hey, it is what it is. I look forward to playing Mr. Love next year and sweeping him again.
You said Favre and who else was better?
Rodgers.
Oh, well, Rodgers, yeah, I agree. Favre, I think he might be, they might be a little bit, they might be related based on the way they play football.
Well, you can see bits of Favre and Rodgers and how Love plays, but I don't think Love was that good. I think they overpaid him. They jumped on because that's all they had, and now they're regretting it. He had 8 good games, and then this year, how many good games did he have? He had some, but
some might be a stretch.
He had a few.
They won 11, so that's respectable.
Shout out to Josh Jacobs. So I got a couple of stats here, Joan, and I will and I want you to tell me which one is the most eye-catching. Speaking about Jordan Love, no one has more multi-interception games than the professional quarterback Jordan Love since the start of last season. That number is 7. And the other stat I have for you today, Jordan Love's stats on true dropbacks this season. A true dropback is a dropback that does not include play action, run RPO, screen pass attempt, just drop back and throw the ball. These are his stats on just a traditional drop back. 57% completion, 15 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 7.5 yards per attempt for a 77.6 QB rating. Which one of those stats blows your mind the most?
The 15 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. What was that line?
It was 15 to 15, a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, that whole shebang there. That's a no-go.
What was the QB rating?
76.7.
Okay.
Yeah, close enough. Dave, what about you? I mean, we all thought Jordan Love is okay, right? But are these stats are they surprising to you?
Not surprising. They are what they are. He was the professional quarterback for Green Bay, but remember, it is hey, let him go. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, they can go ahead and let him go. I don't think they'll be any different with him playing or with them not playing. Foster, I know it's hard for you to keep your disdain for the Packers in check, but I'm gonna ask you real quick, as all bias aside, do you think the Packers can take that next step with Jordan Love as their quarterback?
Well, he's just getting his feet wet. I mean, I don't know how many starts he has altogether, but I mean,
he has enough.
Yeah,
a couple seasons worth.
Yeah, we had 2. Yeah, well, 2 full seasons, more or less, minus a couple missed games. But I mean, I'll say this: the statistics. I would love to know where you found those nice statistics, because that's a very cool stat. But those are pretty glaring stats when you eliminate. I guess you said screens, RPOs, and whatever else it is. Play action. Yeah. I mean, that puts it in perspective. I'll be curious to see how that compares across the line to other QBs. But I mean, that jumps off the page for sure. He's accomplished some things. I'm not gonna act like he just has never done anything. I still don't downplay him going into Dallas and dismantling that team for what it's it's Dallas, so it is what it is. But I wouldn't eliminate that. I would not take that off the board as them getting to the next level.
So those stats are courtesy of the 33rd team. They are very good. One of the last remaining reputable accounts on Twitter. Check them out. They do a lot of deep diving on stats. I'm gonna shout out one of the guys, one of my homies in the chat, on the live chat, Anthony Campanelli. In regards to Jordan Love, nope, that fool is soft. My boy Campo has always been a straight shooter. I love it. Last tidbit for the Packers before we go too far, before we get to teams that we actually like.
Wow.
2025 is 15 days in. The Packers are already 0-2. First team to be 0-2 in a calendar year. I love it for them.
Hey.
Calm down, Foster. That disdain is real palpable. Calm down.
Wow.
All right. Let's move on to the other game of the weekend from the division.
The second team to be 0-2 in 2025.
I see. I wasn't going to say it, Dave. I was not going to say it. The Minnesota Vikings, Dave. They played Monday Night Football. They closed out Super Wildcard Week. Do they still call it Super Wildcard Weekend? I don't know.
They dropped the Super this year.
Wow, just regular Wildcard Weekend. Wow, that's no fun. So the Vikings played the Rams. I'm sorry. Those Rams, the LA people dealing with a lot of stuff going on in LA County right now, Palisades fires and all the stuff. All our thoughts and wishes are with them. But there was a football game held in Glendale, Arizona. Dave, 27-9. Tell us how this happened.
Oh, it's relatively simple. It all started back a week prior in Detroit when Dan Campbell and crew absolutely ripped the soul out of our ginger quarterback, and he never recovered. He went out there and absolutely stunk the joint up. Now, he wasn't the only one to blame. KOC had some questionable play calls during the game, and the defense, how they reacted, was also questionable, considering that the Rams emulated exactly to the T what Detroit did the week before. And it just stunk up the place. 3 weeks ago, prior to the Detroit game, the team was hoisting Sam Darnold on their shoulders and splashing water all over him and celebrating because he was a top 10 quarterback in just about every standard. Well, in the last 2 games, he started at top 10 and he fell almost out of the top 32 because of interceptions, of bad choices, of bad throws. His targeting in this last game, he was off on 10 of his throws. 10. He was off on his throws in Detroit. He was number 3, I think, in the league when it came to accuracy before that. And by off, I mean, if you take Pro Football Reference, they track it. If the receiver can reasonably catch the football, do what receivers need to do and catch the football, they're going to chalk it to the receiver, right? And if the receiver drops it, it's a drop. No, I'm talking about you got Jalen Naylor screaming across the middle, wide open, and you throw it 3 yards behind him. Makes no sense. His intermediate range stuff was garbage. His long stuff took too long to develop, and he was holding the ball way too long. There was one sack he took for minus 18 yards because he held the ball 7 seconds. I don't care what offensive line you have. They aren't blocking for 7 seconds. It doesn't work that way. You give them 2.5, get the ball out. 7 seconds. No. It was a complete and utter disaster, just like the Palisades fires. And it just highlighted a whole bunch of sore spots, if you want to call them that, or weak spots on the Vikings that going into the offseason we need to address if we hope to continue. But it changed the trajectory for Sam Darnold in particular. When he's dropping back and trying to throw deep and long, and I don't know if he was seeing ghosts or dollar bills evaporate in front of his eyes or whatever it is, it cost him tens of millions of dollars these last 2 weeks. Could it be he couldn't take the pressure? I don't know. Possibly. But that's the whole purpose of KOC and the kumbaya, we love you, you can do great sort of thing. But it was not a good performance by the Minnesota Vikings across the board. But hey.
Do we so outside of the Vikings from this game, the Los Angeles Rams, the game, as I said, the game was played in Glendale, Arizona. Shout out to Arizona Cardinals for being a great host. Always a great host for lots of big events in that city.
And on a short timeline, they did tremendous.
Very, very much so. So do we think it's more so the Vikings lost this game or the Rams just got their number?
Well, both. There's only 2 teams the Vikings lost to this year.
Oh, yeah.
Detroit and the Rams, period. twice each.
Back to back both times.
Yep. And it's you hear Merlin getting all upset over it.
He's pissed. Merlin is not happy about you recapping this terrible Monday you had.
No,
but I do like that you brought up that these excessive losses came to the same teams. What was it, week 8 and week 9, and week 18 and the this past game.
But it's older, more seasoned quarterbacks who know what they're looking for against the blitz, right? Being Stafford or Goff. And in the case of McVay, you had the mentor versus the mentee. And generally, when that sort of situation works out, I think the record is 11-2 that the mentor wins. And he knew where to press against O'Connell, and it worked. Dan Campbell and crew, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, they schemed a marvelous game, and not Dave, but the other Shula, the grandson, absolutely mirrored what Aaron Glenn did. Shut down JJ, Justin Jefferson, with a double coverage. And it was what it was. The KOC didn't have an answer, which bothers me. Why didn't he have an answer? He should have, but he supposedly did on some parts. There's recordings of some insider recorded that on one of the last plays, or one of the plays that were going down for a drive, Kevin O'Connell over the headset tells Sam Darnold, look for Justin Jefferson. If Justin Jefferson is not open, look to Jordan Addison. Really, if that's not there either, throw the ball away. Well, he took a sack, lost 12, 15 yards or whatever, and it became 4th and 21, and we punted. It was the play right before we got to 4th and 21. And it was just, I don't know if the big lights scared Darnold, possibly, but the age and experience of McVay and crew just dissected KOC and B-Flow. And the blueprint was done the week before. It's a copycat league. You figure out a way to beat the Vikings, and that was the only way to beat the Vikings this year. You do it.
They say ghosts of Christmas past. Maybe Christmas was a little delayed in the Darnold household, and he had those ghosts from New York past revisit him again. I know we just did 2 reviews. We actually got a game to preview, the last game of the division. Maybe the Lions can bring our spirits up. We're going to do that on the other side of this break. If you're watching live, you know what to do. Just stay tuned. We'll be right back. If you're listening on audio, listen to our advertisers. They make it so that we can continue doing this, and so I don't have to ask you for money straight up, and so I don't have to open up an OnlyFans account. You all don't want that, right? So go ahead and stay put. We'll be right back on the opposite side of these messages.
I don't know if you can tell. I'm still pissed off from the game.
I can tell, Dave. 14 wins. And in fact, Kevin O'Connell, he's only Vikings coach with multiple 13-win seasons, right? But no playoff wins yet.
Nah, he's 0-2.
Yeah.
And Minnesota holds the record for the amounts of times going to the playoffs and losing. 32 out of 64.
And I have some questions that when we get past this preview, we're gonna do a little off-season taste, I guess. I have some questions about Mr. Darnold and KOC, as a matter of fact. So before we get there, my guys, bleachers and speakers, you guys You had the number 1 seed. You are hosting those DC Commanders, the team that aided in ruining my team's season. Tell me, how are you going to ruin their season?
Ooh. When I think about two things that we must see going into the game, number one is establishing the run. This is a team. The Commanders is a team that has is very susceptible to the run. They're a team that likes to get after the quarterback. So establishing the run is not only going to slow down the pass rush of Frankie Louvu and Dante Fowler, but it's also going to loosen up that secondary who's pretty stout. They went out and got
Lattimore.
Yes, Marshawn Lattimore to strengthen the secondary. So yeah, I think that if we can establish the run, control the time of possession, keep Mr. Daniels off the field, who is not playing like a rookie, he's playing like a veteran quarterback out there. But the other thing is keeping him contained in that pocket. The Commanders are 10th in the league in sacks allowed. So it's been shown that if you can keep him confined within the box, they will give up some sacks. But if he can get outside and create some opportunities, I mean, he's second in the league in rushing yards as far as quarterbacks is concerned to only Lamar Jackson. And when he can get the ball to Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz, they can be a problem in that regard as well.
I don't want to sound like I'm hating, but I've talked a lot about the Commanders, their offense, and their fantastic rookie quarterback a lot this season. And because, they obviously he was drafted number 2 behind the Chicago Bears quarterback, so they're wed. Their careers are going to be wed for as long as they're going to play in this league. To me, Jaden Daniels is not that hard to defend. 80% of the time, if he's going to run the ball, he's going to the right? He's a right-handed quarterback. I mean, that's what they do. Cliff Kingsbury, for all the innovative things is known to do with offenses, he did a lot of things. He did a lot of great things with Texas Tech. He did some fantastic things with USC. Not so much with Arizona when he came to the pros, but he can do some things. But in DC with Jaden Daniels, that offense looks kind of reductive to me. It's a lot of RPO, a lot of passing the ball to the running back, passing the ball to tight ends, screens, stuff like that. Stuff that you see from high school offenses. Maybe I'm wrong. June, is that what you see when you've watched this team this year?
Pretty much. I see a lot of RPO. I see a lot of Jaden making a lot of plays with his legs and getting outside and making passes downfield. Nothing that we haven't seen before. So I don't think they have like this prolific offense. I think they have some good moving parts, but nothing that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I think I liken it to when the Wildcat took the league by storm, right? It's not something that that pro football players haven't seen before. It was just something that you don't expect to see, right? Like, so I got to teach these guys, these multimillionaire football players, the highest of their profession. I got to teach them how to defend something that, you teach Pop Warner, that single wing stuff that the Wildcat was doing. And that's kind of where I see the Washington to the Commanders offense. I don't think it's something that's too difficult for Aaron Glenn and his boys to go in there. Well, not go in there because you guys are going to be a home team. I don't think it's too difficult for Aaron Glenn and his troops to snuff out. I think you guys fly to the ball very disciplined. You all swarm the ball very much, and that's what you got to do with the Commanders. When Jaden Daniels decides he wants to tuck in and run, everybody got to come with the hat. Everybody got to come with the hat and put it on him. No diddy. So that's one facet of the game. Two, you got to knock the ball out of Brian Thomas' hands. They're running back. They're physical running back. They have two. Austin Eckler, what's left of Austin Eckler, and Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas, he will put not Brian. I keep calling
Robinson.
Brian Robinson, right? He will put the ball in the paint on the grass. He's known to do that. He's very physical, but if you stand him up, he'll put that ball down. Foster, I'm gonna come right back to you. Is there any other keys to the game that you see that the Detroit Lions have to do to go ahead and return back to the championship round?
Well, I did want to retort. I mean, I have no doubts that Aaron Glenn is going to have the team very prepared. It sounds like when you talk about RPOs and passing to the running back, it sounds like a kind of a simplistic philosophy in order, to get the young quarterback acclimated. But I will say that when you start talking about running quarterbacks and getting the ball, and getting the ball off to your running backs, that sounds like what destroyed the Lions against Buffalo. Josh Allen creating plays, getting outside with his legs, and their running backs did all the receiving. It really wasn't Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman and those other guys. It was their running backs that ran all over us. So that's why I'm cautious about what they bring to the table. But as far as other keys, I would say it's the same execution that won us a game against Minnesota, executing on third down, getting them off the field, and protecting the red zone. That's two things that the Commanders are top 10 in the league at. And it's the reason why their scoring, their overall scoring is so high, despite the fact that they don't have a super dynamic offense. Is they do make things happen in the red zone and on third down. So yeah, just making sure to execute on those in those instances, which is, with us being at home, it's beautiful because that Ford Field crowd is going to be louder than ever. So hopefully we can rattle the young quarterback. I mean, respect to Tampa Bay and what they got going on, but that energy is going to be unmatched. The entire downtown Detroit is going to be the energy is going to be unmatched with all that's going on right now.
And with it, and with the return of David Montgomery, that should help you all in the red zone too, right?
Yes. So I don't know to what. I mean, it's all, but he's probable. If I was to put a status on his injury report, I don't know to what extent, if they're going to just throw him right back out there and just see what he can provide. But I feel like we haven't missed a beat with Gibbs and company. So whatever Montgomery, even if it's just the presence and just him being suited up, in pads, I think that's going to be huge. I think they're going to attack with the run early and often to just set up what we do best, which is play action and just asserting our physicality in that regard.
Dave and June, let's go ahead and call this game. So as of right now, they have the Detroit Lions as a 9.5 point favorite. Over under points in this game, they're looking at 55.5. Dave,
Lions.
how do you see you see how the Lions winning? But do you have the Lions winning by 10?
Yeah, they're going to stomp them.
Yeah, I agree, Dave.
That you get the running Montgomery back, and it's no, and the defense it's Washington's going, yeah, hey, we glad we made it this far. This our first year with our rookie quarterback. Yay, hang the banner, and Detroit's going to stomp them.
The way I look at things, especially football, even a lot in baseball too, I look at point differential. Detroit's point differential is just so ahead, head and shoulders above most teams in the league. I just can't see that this game doesn't continue in that same vein. Detroit,
what did they finish with? Like 165, something like that?
From the
190?
Top of my head, I think it was over 200. But I'll give you that number in a second. But Dave Campbell's got these guys. They are tuned, right? They all know their roles. They all know what to do. And they're all very, very much determined in proving something every single week. I do also agree with you, Dave. I got the Lions winning by 10. The total, I'm a little skittish on that. I'm a little skittish on that 56 points. But yeah, I got the Lions covering. June, what about you?
I got the Lions winning 31-17. I think we established the run, and we established the run early, and I think they wound up playing catch-up ball most of the game. That's what I hope for, and that's what I believe that would happen. I think as long as we don't turn the ball over and we can establish the run, I see the Lions winning this 31-17.
I like it.
The point differential was plus 222.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Which has got to be close to a record. That's unbelievable.
They're my runaway pick to represent the NFC. That right there tells you that they're head and shoulders better than everybody else. And if they do end up seeing the Eagles next week, because I am picking the Lions to win this week. If they do end up seeing the Eagles next week, AJ got to put that book down. He got to put that book down. He got to have to come out there and catch some passes.
Let's concentrate on the Redskins. It's one game at a time, man.
Well, we can't concentrate on them because they don't exist anymore.
I mean, the Commanders. Sorry.
Also, other things that don't exist. The 2025 playoff game in the divisional round for the Vikings and the Bears. We don't have a Packers representative here, so we can't talk about offseason moves for them. I think I speak for everybody else on this panel that their offseason move needs to be getting a better quarterback. But that's Dave. You said some things. I'm gonna just speak for the Bears real fast before I come back to the Vikings.
Well, I was going to ask you, how's the coaching search come on? I get like every 15 minutes over Twitter, I get Bears just completed an interview for such and such guy. And I'm like, who's this?
And that is our Bears wrap up for the offseason. The Bears are in day 12 of coaching interviews. They're circling there, as they said, they're going to cast a wide net. And I don't have any problem with that personally.
Well, how wide?
They said they're going to interview everybody. They're interviewing Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. They're interviewing
19 so far.
That's good.
Under consideration.
That's good because the last time
completed 9 interviews.
Last time they had to do this, Dave, they didn't interview enough people. They went and did some. Hey, I know a guy who could handle this. Don't worry about it. I got a guy. No. Talk to everybody because who you know ain't good enough. I like this approach. I don't think there's necessarily a reason to rush. Obviously, the guy I had number 1 on my board, Mike Vrabel, he's already been hired. I think we all saw the writing on the wall that he was a match made in heaven for New England. So I'm not going to throw a pity party for that. I think everyone around the league and most observers understood that that's where he was going, regardless. Unless you was going to outbid New England, you weren't going to get him. And you definitely shouldn't do that before you had an opportunity to talk to Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and some others, right? So it is what it is. So in my opinion, the Bears are doing exactly what they should be doing, talking to everybody, try to get a feel for what's the best course of action, who can lead, who can get this locker room back in tip-top shape, who has the best plan for developing Caleb Williams, and who has the best vision to get this team back into the playoffs, like the other 3 teams in this division. Dave, for your team and their offseason, I know your offseason is only 48 hours old, but you said 2 things that piqued my curiosity. Kevin O'Connell. So I think this little bit of news from Jay Glazer, and Jay Glazer don't miss, right? Jay Glazer don't miss. If he has a report, you better pay attention. In week 18, He said that a lot of teams are interested in trading for Kevin O'Connell. I heard that, and I was like, huh, why would he say this unless there was actual smoke that that the I was about to say Wilson. I don't even know if they still own the team.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. I don't know. Why would Jay Glazer say this unless they was actually listening to some of these offers? Would you be interested in taking some draft capital for Kevin O'Connell?
That's an interesting question. On Tua Bloggers, I did the history of head coach trades. I have to look at my notes to see exactly how many there were.
Well, we all know the last one was Chucky for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Oakland Raiders,
and he won. He won, obviously, the Super Bowl for him. But there's a whole number. The first one that was Don Shula, and it wasn't a trade per se, as it was the NFL slapped tampering charges on the Dolphins, and they had to give picks to the Colts at the time. But there's been a whole history of it, and I want to say it was 7 coaches traded. And of the 7, is it that much? Maybe more, because I think 5 of them made it to the Super Bowl with their new teams. And only one team that traded their coach had the next guy make it to the Super Bowl, but not win. And that was Oakland with Chucky. They made it the next year. He built that Super Bowl team, and obviously where he came to Tampa, they had already had built one, and he pushed it over the top. But it is for Glazer to report it, he has to have firsthand knowledge of at least one team calling and asking the question. Where he gets that knowledge from, it could be from Kevin O'Connell's people, right? His agent. It could be from the Wolves and the Vikings saying, hey, we got a call already on it. It could be from said team. Say Chicago says, hey, we called and asked if we could trade for him. But there obviously is at least one team that wishes to trade for him, and there's a reason for it. He develops quarterbacks. He gets more out of quarterbacks than virtually most of the coaches out there today. Obviously, he did with Sam Darnold this year. We won 14 games before Sam Darnold broke down here against Detroit. And thank you, Detroit. But it is possible that there are teams looking to trade for KOC. Now, it's going to be up to the Wolves whether they select and say, okay, because Kevin's already said he wants to stay here and continue, the growth. He's due for an extension. He will get an extension. Like you said, first quarterback in Minnesota Vikings history to win 13 games twice in the first 3 years of his time with Minnesota. In his 3 years, he's got a higher winning percentage than any coach in Minnesota Vikings history, and that includes the great Bud Grant. You got to give him an extension, even if he, lost 2 playoff games. So
that's one of the questions I know burning, because I think there might be some a little bit of discontent. There might be some discontent. I don't know.
Well,
there might be some discontent.
There's the play calling there in the last 2 games that has come into question.
Mm-hmm.
And before, some clock management, but the play calling of why he goes consistently for the deep shots. He believes in high value, high distance efficiency game plan. He wants to throw the ball. Doesn't believe in the run hardly at all. He wants to throw deep all the time. Now, if you've got a quarterback that can do that, great. And Sam Darnold, for the most part this year, could do that. Sam Darnold's problem is intermediate range. But he wants to develop people. Now, he needs to grow and get through I got to beat the McVay types and be able to win those really big games when it counts. So there has been some calls for his head, but hey, everybody's calling for everybody's head. You know, the Steelers, everybody wants Tomlin fired.
Ooh,
so
I can't wait to talk about that on Friday.
But not everybody wants KOC fired, and he's not going to get fired. I doubt he gets traded as well. He's going, like I said, he's going to get an extension. Now, is he going to get the $20 million a year like Andy Reid? No, not now. But he's going to get an extension. Same with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, our GM.
I think the segue and the word extension in Minnesota is definitely not necessarily with Kevin O'Connell, but more so Sam Darnold, right? So I'm gonna go around the room. Sam Darnold, Dave, you said it earlier. He cost himself some money with these last two performances in Week 18 in the wild card round. They should have still called it Super Wild Card, but anyway. I am of the opinion that one game, not even two games, even on a big stage, doesn't really destroy your earning potential. It's more so the long season. It more so what you do over the long haul. And this is a desperate league. Everybody's trying to fix that one spot. So with that being said, Sam Darnold, he threw for 4,319 yards on the season, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Go around the room. June, if Sam Darnold's not back in Minnesota next year, where do you see him playing?
Couple of teams that'll definitely pay for him. I'm not sure. Maybe the Raiders, maybe Cleveland. Those Pittsburgh. Those are teams. Those are teams that are in the market for a quarterback. The difference is the Raiders and Cleveland, they have high draft picks. They may look to the draft. So I think Pittsburgh is one of those destinations that it could very well wind up in. But yeah, I mean, if he doesn't stay in Minnesota, there will be he will spark a lot of interest from teams.
But Foster, what about you? If he's not back in Minnesota this year, and Dave did say he called himself some money, so there could be a pathway to him coming back, and he fights with JJ McCarthy and Danny Dimes for QB1 in the training camp. But where do you see him? Where's a good destination for him?
Well, he's not going to go back to the Jets because they got some stuff going. I mean, I would. You're not going back to New York.
I don't know about that.
You think he would? Okay. So the Raiders was the first thing that I thought of. New Orleans was another team, but I think Derek Carr is still on. They're still on the hook for Derek Carr for a while. I don't know. But the Giants got going on.
A whole lot of nothing. I don't know. They brought back Dayball. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing.
The Jets, but maybe the same state. Are they still in the same stadium?
Yes.
We're still in the Meadowlands.
Maybe back to the Meadowlands in the form of the G-Man.
I like that. I like that idea. The reason why I don't think Pittsburgh's in play for him because one, he's going to cost a penny, and two, Aaron Rodgers. That's who they're going to get. Mark my words.
Why?
Because that's exactly what Pittsburgh does. They like those old quarterbacks that they're like, yeah, this will help us get over the hump. Aaron Rodgers. Why? Mark my words. My words.
They've been pretty solid with quarterbacks outside. I mean, they went from
psych.
Pass. You talking about after Roethlisberger?
After Ben.
The last 3 years with Ben Roethlisberger were trash, but
okay.
They should have showed him the door a long time way before he was actually left. But Dave, all right. So you laid the groundwork,
and I just found my notes. It's 8 head coaches that have been traded in history, starting with Don Shula, Bill Parcells, Mike Holmgren, Bill Belichick, John Gruden, Herm Edwards, Bruce Arians, and Sean Payton being the last one.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And 5 of those of the 8, Don Shula, Holmgren, Belichick, Gruden, Arians, won Super Bowls. Super Bowls.
The team that they say watch out for if Kevin O'Connell does get on the trade market, the Jets. Maybe he takes Darnold with him.
Possibly.
Dave?
That would be insane.
Now, I'm worried about a brain drain for assistant coaches going off everywhere this year, but we'll see. And I know the boys here do as well with theirs as soon as their season's over. Hopefully it's in February.
So, Dave, I know you're probably leaning to that area of, Darnold was cool for this season. Great bridge quarterback. Now he has to go about his business, go on somewhere else. Where is that somewhere else? Where is that greener pasture?
I'm here in Pittsburgh, but anywhere he wants to, as long as it's out of Minnesota.
Overstated.
No, and I shouldn't be so mean. If he came back and was back up, that's fine for the right price. But even with the 2 bad games, he's still going to get paid. He's just not going to be paid $52 or $3 million that Sports Track had him at per year. He may now be in that $35 million range. He did win 14 games. So where do I see him going? Possibly Vegas, maybe. Well, there is a supply and demand problem that's going to cause him to make some money because there's 1, maybe 2 quarterbacks coming out of the draft that might be able to play, first game of the season next year as a rookie. Other than that, there's not. But there's about 8 or 12 teams that want a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to be on the top of the free agent list unless we tag him. And, a couple of weeks ago, we were going to tag him. I think that decision was already made. Now it's off the table. No. I don't think they're going to make it.
I consider the last 2 games that he had, which he struggled in, to be extensions. Even though the Lions game wasn't a playoff game, I feel like it's an extension of the playoffs.
Outside of treated it as a playoff game. Right. It was to win the division.
So right. So he's an outstanding bridge quarterback. Obviously, not the guy that's going to take you to the next level. But McCarthy, are you guys just all in on that? This dude threw a couple passes in the preseason before he got hurt. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, quarter, a third of a game is what he played. But and there's questions around JJ. I'm all for JJ McCarthy. He's got the it factor. That's what I want in a quarterback, the it factor. He's got that leadership.
That is it. That is the most valuable attribute you can find on Madden, that it factor.
But it's the leadership deal. It's the gathering to him. Now, I don't know if you saw, it's been buzzing around Twitter. They showed a sideline shot of him. He looks like he's a $175 now, dripping wet. And the one thing he had coming out of college is they wanted him to get up to about 225 because he was just 202, 205-ish. And they wanted to get him up to 225. He looks like he's a $175 right now. And part of that is because of the meniscus surgery and then the treatment thereof. They want to, lessen the strain on the meniscus by lowering weight. Well, he's got to put all that stuff back on real quick. Now, yes, he has not thrown passes this year other than that one preseason game, but he has been. We have a quarterbacks coach, Ordinsky, something like that, and he's being called up to be an OC somewhere, interviewed. That has been working with him daily. KOC works with him weekly. They do the virtual reps where they put a camera on Darnold's helmet and then he goes through and sees everything. So he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing other than actually physically throwing the football out on the field. He's going to be ready for OTAs, and we're going to see. I think he's our starter next year. Or at least they bring in somebody as a bridge, whether it be Danny Dimes or Sam Darnold again, or somebody else, Garoppolo, whomever, right? Whoever's next in the KOC quarterback reclamation school, and put him up and then say, hey, you guys, you got to compete, and you beat them out. But eventually it's J.J. McCarthy's team.
So along with that and all the other offseason fallout that's going on with the Minnesota Vikings, Dave, I'm sure you're going to cover that, back and forth into a T. But I know you got a show tonight. So where can people find this show, and where can they get all this Minnesota Vikings next step forward?
You can find us on Vikings First and Skol, both on YouTube, across your favorite podcast aggregator. You can find us on Facebook and over at our partners, Fans First Sports Network, where we do some writing as well. And you're going to get to break it all down. Like I said, we have a show tonight. We have the Real Forno Show, and we're still in the pissed off, dissecting, doing the bleeding thing over what happened on Monday night. And we're going to be breaking down all the faults, sort of a pie chart of blame, a grand one tonight on tonight's The Real Forno Show. Who gets most of the blame? Sam Darnold, KOC, Brian Flores, to name just but a few. That I'll go into that.
June and B. Foster, you guys got some previews coming up. I know you all got to do a show with the you're doing a cross show with the Commanders. I forget the name of that program. Is also FFSN. What's the name of that show?
Washington Football Weekly.
Washington Football Weekly. You all will be there tomorrow, right?
Tonight at 9 o'clock.
Tonight at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not your only preview. I know you all do a preview show right before the game, and you do a post-game show right after the game. So all my Detroit versus everybody people, make sure you follow these guys. Where can they do that at?
Well, it won't be right before the game. It'll be around 10 or 11-ish Saturday morning. You can find us Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube, and with the podcast audio aggregators, just follow us, Bleachers and Speakers FFSN. Make sure you hit that notification bell so when we drop content, you'll get an alert and download those episodes for us.
Awesome. So if you've been watching this long, you obviously know, Frustrated Chicago sports fans, we have my co-hosts are backstage yelling at me right now. We got to get going. We're going to do a top 5 coaching candidates for the Chicago Bears. We're going to do pros and cons, breaking down which ones we like, and the benefits and the not so good stuff that comes with that. That will be dropping tomorrow on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. That's iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else. Gentlemen, what do we say on our way out?
It's always Skol Vikings.
What is
that? It was bad. Whatever it was. It wasn't even a toilet flush.
Don't do us like that.
That's a little better. I'll take that. But signing off for one of the undefeated teams in the 2025 calendar, your Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
Next week, we will be on Bleachers and Speakers. Make sure you follow them. You all have a good evening. Thanks for listening to this latest edition from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. Whether you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And all my homies from Chicago, we say 3 things: bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.